Good evening, students. Bom, boa tarde a todos. Estamos então na parte final do festival. Hoje é o último dia da programação regular. Amanhã é o dia que dedicamos à entrega de prémios e acabamos hoje também o programa retrospectivo da obra de Ross McElwee com uma masterclass, enfim, uma conversa, mais uma conversa com o Ross, com algumas ilustrações de filmes, comentários e, espero eu, também muitas perguntas da vossa parte. Foi uma viagem que durou cerca de uma semana, começada com o filme de Chama-se March. Video, and I have a separate reel-to-reel tape recorder, miniature tape recorder called a Nagra for those of you who are filmmaking students out there. So it's kind of cumbersome at that point. Again, this is 1980s, like the early 80s. There was video available, but it certainly wasn't a very high quality. You do have to remember that this is a video copy of a 16mm film, and actually the color negative renders the southern landscape in a very luxurious way. It's just a really wonderful palette of colors that was available to me because of color negative. You're not getting any sense of that in watching these clips, but I just sort of felt like reminding you that. So Sherman's March opened up the possibility of really a playfulness, being able to play with themes, while at the same time taking on some serious issues, as I do later in the film with nuclear weapons proliferation. The film also becomes a kind of meditation on what it means to make films, or at least the difference between documentary filmmaking and Hollywood filmmaking, because another theme that arises very spontaneously out of this journey that I took through the South was that Burt Reynolds, an American movie star and film director, was making a film in the same vicinity in the Carolinas and in Georgia at the same time that I was making my film, and people keep referring to that, as I travel along my route. And I film one actress who wants a part in his film, and I go with her for a while, and she tries to find Burt Reynolds, and she doesn't have any luck. And the Reynolds crew doesn't advertise where it is from day to day because he doesn't want hordes of people bothering them. He was quite popular then. He's still, he's an interesting actor, very powerful and interesting about doing that approach. And so I tried it, and I felt that it worked pretty well, and ended up using a scene that I'd initially written off as not being important, as in fact becoming a strong scene in the film. So it's just an example of sometimes not knowing whether you have anything that's really strong or not, and then discovering that actually it's stronger than you realize. And often the other side is true. You discover that material that you filmed isn't as strong as you thought it might be. And usually you don't know this until you get back into the editing room and you start experimenting. And the other thing that I just want to remark on with the scene is that certainly by now I'm conscious of repetition of patterns in my films. For instance, I didn't know the piano tuner was coming that day, but when he came I filmed it, and then as I was filming I was thinking, this is a nice connection back to Backyard, where I play the same piano in the same room, and then not that everybody's going to see both films, but if you do see both films, you'll realize that time has gone on. I was, in my 20s when I'm playing the piano. Here I am, in my late 30s filming, a very different circumstance, but the piano's in exactly the same place. It is being tuned to stay in exactly the same condition. And on their own, there was also this series of connections that were being built up over time that I felt could be interesting, if people happen to see more than one film. So that was something that I then became more conscious about developing in my films. And I think what I'd like to do, because we've been sitting for quite a while, is go straight on to the next clip of Bright Leaves, and then maybe take a few questions from the audience. So Bright Leaves was my investigation into my family's involvement in tobacco in North Carolina.